So the title of this work is Restaging the Monument. I made it in 2014, and it's a continuation of a project that I did in public space in Rijeka, my hometown in Croatia. The work in the public space, it's important to a little bit describe it, it was a public action where I invited the citizens of Rijeka, the city, to join me for 2 days to be lifted up 20 meters up to the highest monument in the city center of Rijeka to look at the monument which represents allegory of freedom in a shape of a woman, to look at this monument eye to eye. So this was to stand eye to eye to this monument. So after this action, I gathered also a lot of, or during the research about this action, I gathered archival materials. And this is the work that you can see here, where I juxtaposed the archival images of the artist who did the allegory of the freedom, which is titled actually Monument of Liberation, made in 1955 in Rijeka to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the liberation of Rijeka from the Italian fascism. I gathered from the family members of the artist who did that monument, his name is Vinko Matkovic, a series of very interesting photographs showing him in his big studio in Rijeka working on this monument. And this you can see here just opposed with other images that I did. I found the archival images of male artists working on representation of such an important thing as freedom or liberation very interesting, and as well how he uses female body as an allegorical narrative, while the monument represents a female body that is, he says that it's allegory, while two male partisans, so the female body is in the middle, two male partisans are on the left and the right side with gun machines guarding the freedom or the woman. I found it interesting how he represents this female body because in his words it's an allegory of Freiheit, of freedom. While for me it was interesting how he kind of negates also the female participation in the anti-fascist movement in Croatia and in Yugoslavia. And this was for me very interesting, who is representing whom and in which way, and how do I revive or revisit this kind of representation. And this you can see I did by juxtaposing these archival images with images of my own body in physical action in my studio. So this is, the work is called Restaging the Monument. For me, it was important to kind of reclaim this power of representation. Me as a female artist who is looking at this way women in the past have been represented by male artists has always been somehow passive, like was representing in a role of passive, which allegorical form is in a way passivization of the woman and their role in certain active movements like anti-fascist movement was. So in my studio, I actually do only kind of physical strength, like physical movements that are showing the strength of my own body and my own action. So this was important to me to somehow reclaim this power of representation. There is, of course, representation of female figures as well, but I think it's dominated mostly by male fighters, the representations in the monuments. But for me particularly, this was a very interesting monument because, first of all, I have had my whole life some kind of relationship with it because it's from my hometown. And also because of this action that I said I did with the, this is the highest monument, so it's on a plinth of 20 meters. And on top of this plinth, there are three partisans. In the middle, the woman, and next to it, two male partisans. So already by this action that I was lifting the citizens of Rijeka up 20 meters to a monument that was supposed to be always looked from down. So the citizen was still in this, even in Yugoslavian regime, which was socialist, communist. the citizen was still like looking at these ideals up there. So this action was to break this power relation, in that to kind of create this possibility for the citizen to stand eye to eye to this ideology, and by breaking these power relations, you open a whole bunch of questions of representation, but also what liberation or what freedom means today for us, and how do we see it.